Hello today, everybody. Usually you get Eric Rubenstein saying like good day and all of that. This is the other big New Yorker at Advize. I'm Jeanmarie. Thank you for joining us. I'm joined here today with three of my favorite guys here at Advize. We all have a little bit of a similar background. We come from Big Four. So today we're going to be discussing what that means and how that has changed our career and also the work that we do each day. Jeanmarie Loria, the CEO of Advize. I've been here now for 13 years. In 3 days from now, it'll be 13 years. I came hot off of KPMG, Big Four. It was where I really made my bones in my career, and it helped teach me everything that I do today with consulting. I feel very, very appreciative of that. So we'll be getting more into that shortly. I'll turn it over to the guys now, please.
Hi, I'm Bill Stewart. I've been with Deloitte in the past. Spent a couple of years there as Vice President of Product Management, building healthcare fraud solutions for the federal and state space. And then a little bit prior to that was at a company called Peraton, Northrop Grumman, Tista, and then also was the Deputy Chief of Staff for the state of Florida, overseeing the Medicaid fraud control unit. So I've been in the healthcare fraud detection and case management space now going on a little over 15 plus years.
Hey, thanks, Bill. Dan Olson, and happy to see everyone this afternoon. So thanks for joining us. And I also have a background at Deloitte. I recently retired this past November as a vice president in product management, and also established our program integrity practice at Deloitte. So looking forward to just sharing some of the lessons learned I had through my work there. And like Bill, I've spent my career fighting healthcare fraud, waste, and abuse, which is a little bit over 30 years right now.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brad Hart. Most of my experience is with state and federal government. I spent about 6 years in state government, left state government, went back to law school, came out, became the deputy bureau chief over the Illinois Medicaid Fraud Control Unit. Did that for 10 and a half years. Was also cross-designated as a special assistant U.S. attorney in 2 districts to prosecute stuff federally, and then spent 8 years as the inspector general over the Illinois Medicaid program, then 3 years as the deputy center director at the Center for Program Integrity at CMS, and then 2.5 years at Deloitte, and then now at Advize. So glad to be here.
I feel lucky to have each one of you on this team with us, and I think it's been a great way to see Advize evolve over time. I used to be the only person here from Big Four, and I would say Big Four constantly to the team. So the way we deliver and the way that we execute for our clients. Now that I have people who are teaching me consulting things that I didn't even know, I feel just very, very lucky to be a part of this. I came to KPMG directly from school, and I knew that having that name on my resume would be a big deal. But when I went to go tell my grandmother about where I was working, she didn't know the first thing of what Big Four even meant. So I will ask you, gentlemen, when you tell somebody about where you were working, how would you even describe Big Four to somebody like maybe in the grocery store who doesn't necessarily know what we do?
That's a great question. I think if you're thinking about Big Four, you're thinking of Ernst & Young, Deloitte, PwC, or what was that other company? I can't remember them. I haven't heard of them, but maybe it's the big three is really what matters the most. But when you think about the Big Four, obviously in your mind, it's the Big Four accounting firms, right? And that's what is really in a lot of people's minds. But what they don't understand is that the Big Four, these are massive entities that work across, international borders. And so they tackle more than just accounting. They are in the defense space. They're in the accounting space. They're in the healthcare space. There are lots of different verticals, and they have, a real significant impact on those verticals and the entities that participate in them, across borders, as I said earlier. So understanding that space and how best to operate in it and then deliver solutions and success to your clients in that space is really, really critical.
Yeah, Bill, I would agree. And being able to, my experience with it with Deloitte was, more of the advisory services too. And so, as Bill would say, we've or has said, you think accounting, but tax, consulting, advisory, those are kind of the core components of Deloitte, and I believe the other big four. And so to be able to work with clients and provide that client service, the excellent service that is expected, and to be able to help them understand what tackle the problems that they have, that they present to you, is really important. And they really, our clients come to us looking for our background and our excellence in what we've done in our previous career. And Brad and Bill and I all would be considered at Deloitte, we were considered an experienced hire, meaning that we did have a lot of real world experience coming into the position that we had.
Let me ask you a question right there, and maybe Brad, you could even tell me if you noticed. So you're coming with all this amazing experience. Was it different for you to jump into the whirlpool that's already going to say like, okay, this is how we execute projects? Because I can't imagine that. I came in sort of new and learning as I'm there. Tell me what that was like.
It was an extremely different experience coming out of nearly 30 years of government work, and coming into an entity that is 469,000 people worldwide, is just shocking in and of itself. The neatest thing that I got out of the whole process, though, was and the difference in perspective that I had from government work was, government's pretty stagnant. It kind of just does what it needs to do to get by, and you get some innovators. I kind of felt like I was an innovator in program integrity a little bit, doing some things in Illinois with data analytics and stuff. But going into an entity like Deloitte or whatever that other one is, like case something, you see that basically the client comes in with a problem and they can do it. I mean, they've either got people, experts like us there that can focus on a particular issue, or they can go out and grab it, and bring people in to meet that need for the client. That was just the biggest thing for me. It was just how shocking the difference between like government life and the private sector, and how different they are, but yet the private sector really meets the client needs by providing them what they asked for.
Mhm. Yeah, I think another element there too is the depth of the bench, especially when you're in an entity, as you said, Brad. Deloitte has over 450,000 people, so you have a really deep bench strength of individuals that are experienced hires, and some are fresh out of college that are learning and going to spend 10, 15 years working their way up. But they bring in a tremendous number of experienced hires, such as the three of us on the phone here. And that knowledge, is then translated into Deloitte's methodologies and the way that they approach problems and their solution set and how they want to attack things. And so there's a significant amount of training that comes, with every new Deloitte employee. And there's a significant amount of disclosure-based activities so that they can understand, who you are, your financial picture, and try to maintain the independence of you as a consulting or advisory asset as much as possible. So for them, the independence of knowing exactly what potential conflicts you may have in the marketplace, so that they can make sure that they put people that are the best, have not only the best knowledge, but have the absence of conflicts of interest, so that when they're talking to clients, they know that these people are independent and they're serving as honest brokers of knowledge and information that are going to help the client achieve the success that they need. So that for me was a significant one, because every entity out there has their method of moving forward and kind of their approach to problems. But it is incredibly structured when you reach the big four, and the depth that they go to make sure that they maintain that independence is quite impressive.
I will tell you, when I came to Advize, I was hot off of ex-KPMG, gentlemen.
That's it. I couldn't remember that other one. Interesting. Okay.
So
Yeah.
I came in very structured. I wanted
Mhm.
everything done a certain way. And what I realized was I came into a team that really didn't have that methodology built. So I came into a team of auditors, certified professional coders, where I said, well, are you on track for partner? What do you want to become? What do you want to do? And they were very happy with being certified professional coders. And there was a way that they did things. I said, we need to document this process. We need to optimize it. We need to go out and sell it more. And I kept like wanting to play around with something that actually worked. And what I had to realize was I was the odd man out. I had to change me and stop trying to change everything around it. What's interesting is fast forward now, 13 years later, I was asking a client of mine, I said, we're redoing our marketing material. Tell me how you would think about Advize. What would you say about us? And he said, oh, you start with yes. I come to you with a problem and you say, yes, what about this? And I said, that's a really nice thing for us to hear, because I think that for us, having a foundation of methodology and training and best practices, but then being able to really listen to the client and tweak the way that we do it to give them exactly what they need, by being a smaller firm as we are at Advize, we've been able to be impactful, quick to react, and get it done. So I said to my client, I said, thank you. We start with yes. I will make that our tagline from now on. So we actually, we do that. So let me ask you, gentlemen, coming over to Advize, have you seen some of these changes of being like a little bit more like change on a dime?
Well, yeah, 100%. So you oftentimes, when you're in an entity that large, the structure above you for decision making can oftentimes, be prolonged, because it has to go through its checks and balances and make sure that the firm is wanting to invest in that certain direction and that the resources are properly aligned and that sort of thing. And the other thing that you also see, and it's not just Big Four, it's really with a lot of large entities. I've experienced this with lots of Fortune 500s, is that they oftentimes have a product that they've built over years, and they want to try to fit clients into that product and not the other way around. And so I've noticed that extreme difference at Advize is that, as you said, we come in and we say yes, and it is, yep, we can do that. We're going to find a way to make that happen. We're not going to put you in a box and say, this is the way your business is going to work going forward. We're going to find, we're going to open the aperture and find the correct solution for you, regardless of what that is. And so I think you stated it well. We say yes to begin with. And so that the speed at which that yes occurs, oftentimes Jeanmarie has said yes before they've even finished their sentence. So that's a very, very quick turnaround time, and one to be complimented.
Yeah, I think too. So agree with that, Bill. And it's fun to work here. Not that it wasn't fun at Deloitte, it was as well. But then to be able to bring the lessons learned that we had from Deloitte and be able to help bring that in. So when the yes is given, then Jeanmarie, you're able to pick up the phone or do a Teams meeting and say, hey, I need this, or have you experienced this, or whatever. And so you're able to leverage that background that we bring from that advisory service background that we had when we were at Deloitte. And I think that's really important and helps collectively to advance the work here at Advize.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's what's impressive to me in the short time that I've been here with Advize is the speed with which we react to things. Like you said, jumping in, I came into this project that I'm working on, and it's just immediately you're involved. You're involved with the clients. I think you're closer to the clients in this realm than in the Big Four world. At least for me, as more of a subject matter expert. I was always kind of tangential to a lot of projects, but here I'm kind of involved with a particular one. And I may be still focusing on certain issues like policy or, subject matter expertise, but I'm getting to interact with the clients, which is just, I think, to me, is a lot more fun.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. That makes me smile so much. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. So if I was thinking about getting into consulting, if I had never been in consulting yet, but I really wanted to, particularly into healthcare consulting, what would you recommend for me? So say I didn't go the big four path, but I really wanted to get into it. I hear you talk about clients and I'm thinking like, okay, how do I get to do this? How do I put my mindset into being a vendor? What does that even look like? A partner? What does that look like? What would you recommend?
I mean, if you're a youngster, I would say know what you want to do or figure out what you want to do. And that may require you to hit different things. You might have to go work for, one of our clients and get some health experience under your belt. And then you get into it and you realize, hey, I really like doing X, Y, or Z. And then you can kind of focus on, being a consultant somewhere and building up that expertise that you need to help clients.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think as you're new coming in to kind of the consulting world, is you are going to have lots of different opportunities. You're not going to just be in one single area. So you may not know that it's healthcare at first. It might be in defense. It might be in many different areas, and then you just continue to kind of funnel down to that area where you specialize or you get known as a certain you have a brand, as they would say, that says, oh, Bill really knows healthcare fraud, waste, and abuse. Brad really is good at litigation within fraud, waste, and abuse. And so you kind of get known for that and you specialized in that and you can work from there. But that comes over years of practice within, getting that consulting advisory background. But Bill, please go ahead as well.
Yeah. For me, what I found especially helpful, and I think all of us have probably served in this capacity, was just spending a few years in government and understanding how government works, operates, the pressures that people are under there, so that you can best empathize with them when you move into a consulting capacity. Otherwise, you are just walking in, and you don't really understand how the government budget works, what the cycles look like, how bids are accomplished, all these different things. You can get trained on them, but there is something to be said for being on the other side of the table, if not for just a short period of time. You don't have to be there for years or decades, but just being on both sides of the table is especially helpful, public and private sector, especially if you're going to go in and try to consult with somebody and try to inform them on a better way to do it. It is oftentimes helpful that you can speak their language because you've sat on their side of the table. And that has served me exceptionally well in my career.
Yeah, like I think talking about that with Bill, if you've worked in government for a little bit and you just understand like the appropriations process, mm-hmm. that will apply to almost every state. So mm-hmm. you'll understand that, it's got to do this, this, and this. That helps you, get to the point where you can help that client get through that process and understand what they're going through, and some of the weight that comes from them from outside of their own entities.
Yeah. It's kind of in a very simple way. It's kind of like, if you want to try to sell bicycles, it kind of first helps to know how to ride a bike. So, when you're with the big four, you are working in an advisory or consulting capacity, mostly with governments around the world. And so understanding how governments work and operate as close as you can get in the highest level you can possibly get increases your knowledge, but it also increases your value inside the entity, the big four that you may work for, whichever one that may be. I know 3 that are exceptionally good. I'm not sure about another one, but we will just move on from that. But that value proposition that you present is really, really important. And the more knowledge you can gain from those government interactions, any period of time, on staff is exceptionally helpful.
I've always been taught, and I firmly believe in more of a partnership approach. It's not necessarily I'm vendor, you're client, but more so let's partner together mm-hmm. and let's hold each other accountable to get this done. What are we trying to get across the finish line? I'm not just going to sit here and opine and tell you what to do, but more so how do we get this done? And I think it's interesting, right? So it's the consulting holy grail to just basically write a report and be like, here you go, now pay me. But it's another thing to actually say, here's the report, now let's go do this together. And, yes. I find that so interesting. And like to your point about like, as you start to specialize guys really understand sitting on the other side of the table what that looks like. It's interesting. So let me ask you, gentlemen, because I have you here today. I want to know. We've all specialized in healthcare. We're all here in healthcare. What excites you the most about what's upcoming the rest of this year into next year in program integrity, payment integrity, SIU, overall, everything in our space? What excites you the most? Bill, you first, because I feel like you got something in the hopper.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the most exciting things that I think all of us are experiencing, in some way, shape, or form, whether it is, in a little capacity of just, typing out chats and getting an AI response back, or if you're using, advanced LLM models and it is helping you draft and you're bouncing ideas and, using it for creativity. I think one of the major things coming our way is agentic AI. And agentic AI, I think, is going to seriously help those on the detection or pay and chase side move forward their capture process to potentially prepay. And that for me is one of the most exciting prospects, that could be coming over the next couple of years, is actually getting ahead of the bad guys instead of always being behind them. So agentic AI has that promise, and I'm really excited about where that can take us.
Dan, you got something?
Yeah, I mean, so I think we all would have started out with AI and where it's going. So I'm gonna pull back a little bit. I mean, I totally support that, but I would still say that we collectively still need to be using open source resources much more. And I think that there is still a lot that can be done there. So I would complement the AI with the open source technology and what could be done. In fact, I would use AI to facilitate the open source look to be able to help streamline that and be able to move that forward.
Great point. Yeah.
I agree with both of those. And I think those are probably the highest areas that are important in the near future. I think some of the changes happening in government are going to create some differences for consultants to look at and advisory folks to look at. I still would like to see payment integrity, program integrity kind of become more popular with programmatic people, so that you don't have people just running programs and passing money out, where they have a feeling that there's skin in the game from a program integrity perspective. And I'd love to get more people involved into program integrity. It's great seeing young people come in, who want to be investigators and learning the healthcare aspect of it, and kind of being helping mentor them through, hey, this is the problem you're running into, and teaching them a lot of stuff. I did a lot more education at Deloitte with other Deloitters than I did, outside of Deloitte. So, just bringing people up to speed so that everybody, that program integrity and payment integrity is at a much higher level, will be better for everybody in the long run, especially the taxpayers.
Definitely.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you. And I agree. I do agree. I feel like we should all apply some operations and financial, like make believe this is our own money and actually go out there and just get it done. Right. I'm always like, well, that's not how I would spend my money. What? So thank you, Brad.
Exactly.
I appreciate that very much.
Exactly.
So, gentlemen, I thank you so much for doing this webinar with me today. I thank everyone out there in the audience. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you for being with us today. Continue to send us questions. If you want to get involved, collaborate, you want to have a cup of coffee with us, virtual coffee, whatever you want to do, you let us know. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. I guess she's done. Wow. So Bill's done too. So, well, good. So